Hello again. We have Fargo, Season 4, Episode 8, The Nadir, which apparently means the lowest point in fortunes for a person or organization. We got a lot more action, some surprising turns, and some not so surprising turns. Overall, I want to say this is a better episode, but it's suffering from some of the same problems as before. What do you think?
Yeah, what I'd say is that the episode started out pretty horrible for me. I was like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is happening here? What are we doing?" Then it got pretty interesting. I'll definitely admit it got pretty good. But ultimately, it completely shit the bed for me and it really pissed me off. I knew exactly what was going to happen, so I wasn't surprised when we'll get into what happens later, but I was just like, oh, fucking God, really? But I think for a lot of people, this is definitely going to be one of the best episodes, and so far at least. But still, lots of problems. It does have one of the best scenes, I think, of the entire season, but then it's accompanied by the worst scene to me. But yeah, so it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag for me. So how do you feel?
About the same. It's sort of the same problems where, like, we're bringing back something that happened 4 or 5 episodes ago, and it's specifically Orietta and the little black girl, and her name eludes me right now. 4 episodes later, she finds the notebook. I mean, you can hold off on plot points like this, but they lose a lot of immediacy 4 episodes later.
Yeah, I mean, last episode I brought up that I thought the season was poorly laid out. Like we brought up with the credit card last episode and the notebook this episode. It's just, we're doing this too late. We're too far in now, and it's like you're diffusing and infusing tension in weird places, and it's kind of awkward.
Did you think that the fadas coming together was a nice little wrinkle?
It was weird for me because we start out and Gaetano's fucking beating on his brother, and he sees him, and it's like, okay, all right.
Schwartzman's going to get up and just shoot him in the face.
Right. I didn't know exactly how it was going to go because at first I was like, oh, well, so much for Josto being head of the crime family because everyone in this bar is not helping him at all. And his brother's just pummeling him. We have the twist of him loving his brother again. All that tension between the brothers is just completely diffused in one scene.
I am the bull. You are the snake.
I am the bull. You are the strategist, and it's just like, I'm like, really? All of that you've built up, we're just tossing that away in one scene. And it's like, oh, I'm on to what the blacks are doing. For some people, maybe, it's a nice subversion. I don't know how you feel about it. But for me, I was like, this feels kind of cheap.
It definitely is kind of cheap, but I kind of liked it because you really can't do this, string us along for another 3 episodes with the brothers warring with each other, you know? And I still have a strong feeling that one of them is going to kill the other before the season ends.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that. And I definitely agree that it is boring that the brothers are just kind of feuding. They kill each other. So it is, like you said, a nice wrinkle. But ultimately, I'm kind of like, I'm very lukewarm on it. It's like they hated each other so much. They were so opposed to each other. They wanted each other dead. And then it's just like, oh, hey, now we're hugging. It's all cool.
You killed a boy in order to have me killed. I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. All right. That's all it took. I just had to try to basically have you killed. So
Going back to the first scene, again, we're bringing up 2 plot points that happened like episode 1 or 2. We have Justo back with the nurse, and
right.
and him wedding a curvy girl, happens to be the daughter of a politician. This cements in my mind that I was thinking the entire time during that scene, the show is just, maybe they just edited it poorly. This should have been earlier, but she calls to check on Dr. Harvard in the same scene.
Yeah, the beginning of the episode was definitely weird. I mean, we got, more cringe-inducing sex stuff with Josto and the nurse, more of the choking and shit.
We got some more character development for two of them, 7 episodes
Right.
later than it should have been. It turns out the nurse was a victim of Munchausen's by proxy, and Justo was possibly molested by the Irish gang leader.
Yeah, apparently he's possibly been molested. He's like, oh, they did things, they never should have done to a boy. And it's like, okay, well, that was kind of out of nowhere.
It doesn't really ascribe to anything you've done in the season thus far.
Right. Yeah, and with the nurse, she said her mother had, or she had, what was it? Some type of ailment.
Malaise. And towards the
Malaise.
end of it, she mentioned her mother would give her special juice every day. I kind of like that with the nurse because it's sort of it gives us an idea of why she's doing the things she's doing. She had no control then. Her mother just made her sick all the time. Now she's in control. She can take life wherever she pleases.
Yeah, I thought that was a little interesting, and it made me think, oh, maybe she killed her mother or something like that.
It's possible.
So, but it kind of felt once again kind of too little, too late, and also him telling, oh, I love you now. It's just like, what? You're in love with her now, and
We've seen you with her for approximately 3 scenes.
yeah.
Over like 10 hours of content.
And I mean, listen, back in the 50s, people did get married real quick. I mean, my grandparents, they knew each other for 2 weeks and they got married. But still, it's like, it felt forced. Once again, seeing the fiance, it was like, okay, it's been like, what, 6 episodes since we've seen the fiance?
Or even it's come up in any at all.
Right. And they bring up the election again and how maybe we should wait till after the election for you two to get married because we don't know if I'm going to win. And it's like, okay, is this election ever going to tie into the main plot? Is like,
Just like him and the nurse, it's been 2 scenes that the election has been discussed now. Who fucking cares?
right. I mean, there must be some payoff to this, right? I mean, is it possible that like at the end of this show, like Josto is in like office or something? Like,
I mean,
I don't
that's
know.
kind of what it's building towards.
Right. Yeah. That would be kind of crazy if like everybody died and he survived and like he is now in politics or something.
Yes. Well, he is a
That'd be
serpent.
that'd
He
be a
is a
curveball.
snake.
Yeah, so he would fit right in.
Now let's move on to, I'm guessing, is your most horrid scene. Another Untouchables reference. We head to a train station where,
Oh, we're getting into that, huh?
yeah, why not? We head to a train station where we have the marshal, a cavalcade of policemen who have tracked down Swanee and Zalmair,
Yeah,
and obviously a firefight ensues.
yeah, but yeah, that's as soon as we when they were in the train station, I was like, oh wow, yeah, we're really gonna do the Untouchables. We're really gonna do that, and they failed miserably. I mean, you literally just have a shot of them shooting, and then we never see anything. We just see the aftermath.
What else are we supposed to think of besides the Untouchables? You're having a gunfight in a train station.
Right. Well, I mean, remember the last episode they had the score kind of set up, and I was like, huh,
Yeah.
that's kind of they were nodding to that, but it was a disappointing scene. At first, there's some tension, and I was getting kind of excited, especially when you see Daffy at the top of the second story of the train station, and he's looking. I was like, okay, we're building some nice tension, and he makes eye contact with the sister of the mortician, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is going to be a really kind of big set piece. We got 10 minutes left of the episode. We'll have some real nice back and forth with the shootout, and it's like, oh no, we're
Not only that, we get 2 kind of shitty shootouts, now that you're reminding me. 2 for the price of 1, so to speak. Now let's move on to what I'm sure really enraged you, but and I'm betting you could see coming. I could see coming from a mile away. OCD cop is hesitant. He's waiting in the car. He finally goes in. He can hear in the distance gunshots and Deffy screaming, "Put your hands up," or "Drop your guns," or whatever. He proceeds to walk up to Deffy, shoot him in the chest, shoot Swanee in the head, and then somehow fucks up shooting Zelmare. It didn't make much sense to me because obviously Loy, ordered this, but if the marshal gets these two girls, he's gone. He's out of his hair forever. So what's the point?
Yeah, it didn't make sense, and it was obvious. It was completely telegraphed. I mean, when Duffy and the OCD detective were talking at the police station, and he's like, "Oh, who are you on the phone with?" I was like, "Oh shit, here we go." Well, it's clearly Chris Rock called him and told him to kill him, and especially when they have the conversation about, basically how they would die.
Do you remember specifically what he said? Oh, yeah, he doesn't want to die with one boot off. He's going to live like a man, so he's going to die like a man, something like that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get caught with putting one boot on. They said, that was his worst fear, dying with one boot on. It's like putting on your pants and, you got one leg in your pants and you get killed, which is, I'm like, okay, so that's exactly how he's going to die. And I brought it up, I think, either last episode or the episode before that he was going to go out like a bitch, that they were going to do that to him. I could just sense it because he's probably the most masculine character, right?
Yeah, him or Gaetano, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gaetano's dancing to opera and flailing his hands.
Yeah, touche. He's even dancing at the end of this episode, kind of.
He loves to dance. But
I only learned to dance this way to make fun of the fairy down the street.
Yeah, so that was just complete bullshit, and it was obvious to me. For some people, maybe they didn't see it coming, but it was just like, really, you're gonna kill off the most interesting fucking character in the show?
And it doesn't make any sense either. He gets the girls, he's gone. He's not gonna bother you again, Chris Rock. Was he offended by their conversation or something?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that you could have easily wrapped up his storyline, because all he wants is to get the girls. He doesn't give a fuck about Chris Rock. He doesn't give a fuck about the town. He's a marshal. He just wants these two women. That's what he even lays out. I just want them. You could have had the shootout, because he even says, I want to take them in alive and stuff. And
you could have had them kill him.
Yeah, either Duffy kills them or he just takes them in, and that's the end of their arc and their story, and he goes back to whatever, because you have that really great conversation, which is, to me, the best scene in this entire show, when Duffy goes to Chris Rock's house. I fucking loved that scene. It was the dialogue in it, just the back and forth between him and Chris Rock, the whole monologue about morality versus loyalty, and it was just, I was like, oh my God, this is like, we're giving him this amazing scene, and then we're just going to kill him like a fucking bitch. It's infuriating, and I just have to let it go. It's done.
The show's turns, it reminds me of the second Star Wars sequel, the Rian Johnson one. You're doing subversion, The Last Jedi. You're doing subversions for the sake of subversions. They don't tie in thematically, they don't tie in narratively, they're just designed to sort of surprise and shock you, and it's just lazy and cheap.
Yeah, it's not clever, and it doesn't really have a strong tie to the story, and it doesn't feel earned, because it's not like we've had a tremendous amount of time with Duffy, and so even though we get that amazing scene and we've got some decent dialogue and stuff from him, it's not earned. You didn't earn killing him like that. They really did. You could have done it, but not with all those scenes of him just sitting in the car chewing on a carrot for one scene and then adios.
That's another good indicator if he was going to die. Since his introduction, I believe the second episode, this is the most screen time he's had, and probably combined any of the episodes, and it amounted to about 8 or 10 minutes.
Right, except for the first episode where he's introduced with the bloodhounds. This is the only other episode where he's got a lot of screen time. It's frustrating. I mean, there was one line that I really did like during that scene. I mean, there was a lot of lines, but when Chris Rock is going to make a drink, he says, "Do you want anything?" And he said, "No. A wise man once said, alcohol is your friend with a knife." and I really liked that line.
I like that too. It was good.
Yeah, it's just he has this intensity, and I mean even the line that another line that Chris Rock says. Yeah, he says it's the way you're unfriendly, like you're doing me a favor. That line I really liked as well.
Yeah, it was cool. It was good.
I really liked the dialogue in that scene. So it made it even worse because I'm like, oh man, you're really gonna do that. And I mean, Chris Rock even says so. He says, "Don't come back to Missouri," and you can clearly see when he says that to Daffy that he tuned it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of those moments where he's just, he didn't say "come again," but
He just said,
you
"Have
know,
a nice day, gentlemen," or "Have a nice day,
yeah,
boys," something like that.
yeah. Have a nice day, boys. Yeah, that was really disappointing. How did you feel about the shadow monster stuff and how it's jumping now? Now we've seen another person besides the Indian girl be able to see the shadow monster thing.
It's gonna have to be the greatest work of writing in the history of writing for me to care about the monster because it's it means nothing to me. Oh, creepy zombie looking guy in the background. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think they're gonna do with it?
He'll just be it'll be a couple more of the consequential deaths. He'll be visible, and perhaps the last scene, somebody he thought is free and clear is going to make it out alive, ends up dead, and he's like standing behind them or something. I honestly have no idea what they could do with it.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because obviously anytime someone sees it, it's a sign that they're gonna die soon. So I'm wondering with her, with the sister of the mortician, it almost seems like she's gonna kill Chris Rock. It kind of seems like that's kind of inevitable, right? Or am I off? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, the marshal would have no idea where they were if not for Chris Rock. It's only going to take her a matter of time to figure that out.
Yeah, because I mean, who else? He even said nobody's gonna know. I got you those tickets to Philadelphia. So, I mean, the only thing I wanted to bring up about the train station was just how many people died. I mean, so many innocent people. It's like even you see like young adults with like ribbons in their hair, and I was like, okay, I mean, you really can't root for these people at all. So before it was kind of like, okay, they're fine, but I mean, they just like committed just like insane mass murder.
We had at least 5 or 6 dead cops. We had at least 10 to 15 civilians just lying on benches and on the floor.
Right.
Who do you root for going forward?
Well, that's the question right there. I mean, I think the show is pointing you towards what is her name? Black girl, is it Arietta? Is that her name? I
I
think.
don't think so, but I was having trouble remembering myself.
Yeah. Well, the mortician's daughter. I think they're kind of pushing her to be the moral linchpin or whatever.
That's really the only person who you can be attached to without any
Yeah, I mean, I guess Milligan. I mean, even though he sold out his family, I guess that's the only person I kind of
yeah, but again,
have really any interests.
he's been gone for 2 episodes.
Yeah, we're not developing him. We're not. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to have to because I think the next episode, which I think we brought up last time, it's got to be Milligan versus uh,
Alameda.
Calamita. Yeah, we got to have that showdown.
But in between, you're I'm not forgetting about him, but I'm sure many people are forgetting about him because just throw in one scene where they're sitting by a fire, reading a book, eating something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. Even just one little scene of seeing them where they're at right now, just to remind us. You're totally right. I mean, obviously, if someone's binge watching it, then that wouldn't necessarily matter as much. But we're week to week. The show has always been meant to be week to week. So you're not keeping us up to date, really.
That goes back to my editing gripes. Like I said, I thought that maybe they just edited it differently than maybe they did at first. Like they changed things around, but more and more it's starting to seem like this was the intention from the very jump.
And the thing is, it's tough to because I brought up those two characters of Milligan and the little black girl. They're also they're not getting a lot. She's not getting a lot of screen time, even now, these past few episodes. And what we did with this episode of like building up a love interest, I'm like, we're 8 episodes in now.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Is that somehow going to tie into Chris Rock giving back the mortician people their business back because him and the girl fall in love or something? I mean, are we going to do some weird Romeo and Juliet thing where both of them die?
It was very awkward. Very, very awkward. I'm in agreement with you
Yeah,
there.
yeah, with them talking about records and stuff. It's like I don't know where we're going, and like I brought up earlier, like we're killing off the most interesting characters. Like the two characters I like the most, Doctor Senator and Daffy. You killed off in the most unceremoniously bullshit way. You know,
Hmm.
they both went out like bitches. I mean, maybe I think that's intentional because they really want you to focus on the Fadas and the Chris Rock.
At the same time they build up these characters to die, they introduce characters to die seemingly the same episode. We had Antuna last week or the week before. This week we have the Fada's
Right.
mother, who I don't think we've seen or heard from at all. So obviously the first time she opens her mouth, she's going to die.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't actually see that coming. That all of a sudden there was going to be this hit squad that was there, and
I didn't see it coming either, but it's like Antuna, and I'm sure there's a character or two before. We know nothing about them. We haven't even heard them speak. Of course, now that she's speaking, I figured maybe heart attack or like a stroke or something,
right.
but no.
And it's cheap too because it's like, okay, that is going to get the brothers close together more than ever now.
Hmm.
The fact that their mother and possibly, I don't know if their sister was alive or if that was a housekeeper or somebody else was dead there. I
Once
don't know who
again,
that
we don't
was.
know who these people are, so why should I
Right.
care about their death?
Well, that's the thing is you don't care, but it's just to serve them to get closer together. And that scene was weird too. It's like when Gaetano was charging pistols, I'm like, oh wait, is he gonna die here? Because this makes no sense. Like you're charging into dudes.
There's bullets ricocheting off the what's his name? Schwartzman is hiding behind some logs, like cut for
Yeah,
fire and stuff. Bullets are
yeah,
ricocheting off those logs while Gaetano is just marching forward.
yeah. And there's no cover at all for him. And there's trees. Like, why did they even run away?
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, why didn't they finish the job there?
because we need Justo and Gaetano to survive another 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I know that, but it's just like you really got to have a lead there. Like, what? None of them could have reloaded and held their ground. There was like 15 of fucking guys there.
And there was only like 5 eye ties and Justo and
Right.
Gaetano.
And they got the jump on those guys and killed them all immediately.
Mm-hmm. That kind of struck me back. I was like, not one of them could have returned fire or at least grabbed a pistol.
Yeah, that's the thing is that the choreography of these shootouts is just garbage. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's clear that the people who are directing these episodes, they do not know how to film action at all. I mean,
We
when I
have
was
no
watching
idea about the
these,
geography of this location,
yeah,
and things just don't make sense.
yeah. I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was I thought of Breaking Bad because you remember the shootout in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a badass scene. You know, the shootouts in Breaking Bad were always great, and they're from a director called Michelle McLaren. She's really good at filming action. And the whole time I'm watching these scenes, I'm like, you couldn't get like someone who has, you know, like a real good reputation for filming shootouts. Like violence in this show is important, and like they've done it well before in previous seasons.
Yeah,
So
that's what
it's
I mean too. Like,
yeah, sloppy.
Noah Hawley couldn't just say, "Hey, why don't we just do it this way? Why don't we set up the set like this?"
Right.
It
Yeah,
made me
that
think of, when you said that, it made me
disappointing.
think of the scene from season 2 where the son slits the mobster's throat in the 50s.
Oh yeah.
Do you think the mobster who showed up this episode to shoot at the Italians was the same guy from that episode?
I was confused honestly at the end. At first, I was like, okay, is New York turning on the brothers, and do they just want them killed? And are they going to take over Missouri? Is that what's going on?
No, no.
Um,
Chris Rock, he said, what should the brothers are coming together? What should we do? Call Fargo.
yeah, yeah, he says Fargo. So I think I was looking up and I was kind of like, okay, that one guy charging kind of looked familiar. I guess his name's Morg Kellerman or something.
Yeah, sounds right.
He's the head of the Fargo gangsters, I guess. So that ties into what Chris Rock calling them. I'm assuming next episode we're gonna have to have the big war between the Fadas and Chris Rock, but I've been wrong before.
We, based on what happened this episode, we should also have the nurse trying to kill the little black girl, but like you just said,
Right.
I've been wrong before on that count too.
And it's like they got to pay off the Dr. Harvard thing too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
She was packing her bags like she was ready to leave. Then she finds a notebook, realizes it was I can't believe I'm forgetting her name, little black girl. And so she decides to stay and face possible prosecution. But the one nurse does say that they suspect whoever shot at him in the first episode might be the person responsible.
it just feels to me like they should have just let Dr. Harvard die. I mean, I get it's a nice twist that he survived the poisoning, which they said was strychnine, one of the nurses.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that angle, but it's like, once again, we're late into the season here. I mean, obviously, there's going to be 11 episodes, but are we really going to waste time with her trying to kill Dr. Harvard, or is she just going to give up on that and say, fuck it, and just try to kill the girl? Like,
That's what I foresee, but I have no idea at this point. Do you have anything else?
the scene with the mortician's wife and Chris Rock, I was kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like we don't know these people either. Like we know the mortician's wife more, but Chris Rock's wife, it's like we've had like one scene with her.
She talks about how they grew up together, and I took note of how much older Chris Rock's wife looked than
Oh yeah.
Mrs. Smutny.
I don't know. Maybe I think they're laying something out there with Lemuel and the little girl and their family somehow. I don't know if Chris Rock dies and maybe they're together or something.
Maybe the morticians take them in or something, the daughters and possibly the other son.
Could be. Do you think anything's going on with New York? Do you think there's anything there?
No.
Because I was looking, the guy who was friends with Dr. Senator, who the Italian guy, his name's Abel. Guy who told, he's like the main guy with New York, and he said you got to make things right with your brother, and you got to deal with the situation, with the blacks. Do you think anything's going on with him, or?
Now that you say that, yes, because after Justo and Gaetano, the whole "I'm the bull, you're the snake, I love you" thing, they as the scene ends, they pause on his face for 5 to 10 seconds, sort of sinisterly. So now that you say that, yeah, something's gonna come up.
Yeah, he's just like glaring at them when they were shot. At first, I was like, "Oh wait, is New York just come to kill them?" I was thrown off. What do you think's gonna happen next episode?
We're gonna have like the blacks having a meeting or something. They're gonna get shot at. Chris Rock's gonna do a little diatribe about how this won't stand. We're the kings or some bullshit.
Right? Yeah.
I'd like to see the arc of the nurse and the little black girl come to an end, but I don't see that happening. Maybe she gives her like a veiled threat or something.
Yeah, maybe. I think they're gonna drag that out to the very end because the show opens with her voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's gonna be a cap on the season.
Zelmare is gonna reunite with her sister and brother-in-law. She's gonna vow revenge, and that might get wrapped up in episode 10. I doubt it, but it'll probably get wrapped up episode 11.
Yeah, because we're trimming the characters down. We haven't seen the mortician at all recently either. He kind of just disappeared.
For a second, I forgot who the wife was. I'm like, wait, who's she talking to? Oh, mortician. Okay.
Who knows? This season's been very hit and miss, but I'm hoping that it's going to be full pedal to the metal.
I mean, I'd like to say it kind of has to be, but we've been saying this since we started this Odyssey. It has yet to occur.
Yeah. They teased it with this episode, but to me, this is, it wasn't enough. Yep. 3 episodes left.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's hope this gets, I want to say let's hope this gets better, but God only knows what hell awaits us next week. Arrivederci, motherfuckers.
Nigga, my motherfucking name is Ethelrida Smutny.